Afternoon, it's Stephanie. I had a message. Well, it's based on the Bible, and it's actually what I'm going through in my life right now. But it's not the first time I've gone through this. Well, actually, this experience is kind of like the first time. But for me, I had to, um, I had to have my son go stay with his dad, and it was really hard because you have to let go. But it comes to that point. He's a grown young adult and he needs guidance. But from a man's standpoint, because it's hard raising a young man, especially in today's culture, it doesn't matter what age you're living in. His father is, you know, it's not that I can't raise him. Boys respond to men more than they do to the women. It's just built, well, for me, that's what my experience is with my kids. So I want to share a couple verses in the Bible, but it wasn't easy because my heart basically sank down. So whether you're dreading the day that your kid is going off to college, maybe that's the stage you're in, or maybe you're dreading that they're going into kindergarten now, just know that God, it sees everything. And it's so important. Think of it like this. If we never give them the opportunity to walk, you know, and make choices, like we have raised the kids all this time, right? We did the best that we can or whatever. There comes a point where they got to become young adults and make choices. And if they make bad choices, then they learn from them. You know, they can learn from them just like we did. So we give them the grace, you know, that's a beautiful thing. It's control. If you if you never will allow your child to experience making a decision on their own and always constantly making the decisions, they will never have any idea of how to make a decision and they will always second guess themselves. But if you instill values in them and you teach them, you know, morality and stuff like that, it will come back to them. So I am going to go right into some Bible verses, but think of it like that. Like, you know, for me, for college, I tried it. It wasn't for me because in high school, I really had a hard time and I'm not big on writing papers. So you may be trying to push your kid to go to college because that's your idea of what you want for them and what you think is going to be the ultimate best. But God has a plan for each of us, and you can have success by having a trade. You can have success by just your name is the most important thing out of everything you own. Your name is the most important because you could just be a contractor, but trust me, word of mouth goes around faster than all the business billboards you could possibly have. It's people knowing that you are an honest person, you're going to get the job done, and you really put your foot forward, you know, and not rip people off. You know, people know honest people. And when you're dishonest in business, it goes around real quick because the people you're serving talk to a lot of people and it travels quicker than anything, you know, travels quicker than the news. So we can choose two paths, but that's what you want to instill also and lead by example. So always be honest, you know. Hey, Rosa, how are you? Um, Good morning or afternoon, wherever you are. It's noontime. Isn't that beautiful? Look, the daffodils, right? So, okay, so in Proverbs, God has a plan for us. We say what we're gonna do, just like with my channel. I thought I was gonna be singing on here all the time. God orders my steps. So let's go to the Bible. Um, Proverbs 22, verse 6. Start children off the way they should go, and even when they're old, they will not turn from it. Children will always turn back. Think about yourself. You may go astray or whatever, but you're always going to hear that voice and you're going to turn back around. So you can trust your children that when you say these things, they may not act like they're listening to you, but trust me, children are listening to you and they're watching us too. when you do things and you say things, it's putting a message to them. So how you treat people, how you act, they're picking it up, oh, and they will call you out on it. So, always, we can always apologize too, because we're people too, and we make mistakes. Always be open with your kids. Hey Sonia, how are you? Hi, I don't know how to say that. Break, Becky, Becky Vibes. Hey, how are you? Welcome in. Okay, so this is Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 through 6. So this is trusting in the Lord. So for me, my heart sank down. Like I said, I had to, my son is going to go stay with his father now because he's a young man. And at this time, I need his father to step in and, help me raise my son. He loves him, his son. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your path straight. So I'm submitting. I'm trusting in God. I trust in God. I can't just make these Bible videos. I'm trusting in God, and I know his Father is going to help him, guide him. But like I said, we all are responsible for how we act, right? And but when we trust in God, we can't lean on our own understanding. Yes, use discernment, but what we want for our children, for as their career, we have to give them freedom to make choices. It's wrong if you just push your kid into a mold that you want them to do because you wanted to do this. It's selfish. And yes, guide them, but we should let them make choices, because then they're not going to resent you. If they're unhappy in that career that you push them into, they won't resent you. Your children will always love you, but think about it. If you're always controlled by somebody, it's not love, it's control. And that is not love. It's just a form of like manipulation. So give your children the chance to choose their career path, right? Okay. So Jeremiah 29:11. All right, let's go. Jeremiah 29:11, chapter 29:11. This is my favorite verse. Sonia, I know it's so hard, but it gives us freedom too. Think about it, because if you choose that path, and it doesn't work out, then you're showing it all this money, right? But we can always, even if something doesn't work out what they chose, God can always use that, right? Every job I ever had, God has always used. Isn't that beautiful? I'm up in North Jersey. So the Lord says in Jeremiah 29, chapter 11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." God has plans for all of us. And think about it, even if you were to do house cleaning, you could be very successful. It just takes time. We have to build like the foundation. People have to see that we're good cleaning. It takes time to really get to that level, right? But there's all different levels of cleaning. There's commercial cleaning, and then there's house cleaning, and there's always something in demand. But it's about getting your name out there. Proverbs chapter 16:9. Let me say. Proverbs 16:9. Okay, so this is about us establishing our plans. Like, I know this is with my channel. I really thought I was just going to be singing on here the whole time, and I thought I would go to this stage after a year, but I do have a platform, right? But okay, so God has ordered my steps, and I want to serve him. It's not that I have to serve him, but for all he's done in my life, all the goodness he has given me, all the blessings he has poured out, all the career he has blessed me with. I never thought in a million years I'd be driving a truck, and I was scared to death, but he brought me through it. Hey, Christina, how are you? Welcome in. Isn't this beautiful? Look at the daffodils. I was making a delivery and I had this message since yesterday, and I was just trying to figure out how to do it. My heart sank down on Monday because my son now is going to stay with his father, but at this time he's a lot older, but I need the father to step in and, guide him as a young man. He needs the father because he does listen to me, but it's a little bit different. So, and then people won't take advantage of him because they see the father. So, Proverbs chapter 16, verse 9. In their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. And that's even with our children. We could plan all the plans for them and, even for ourselves, but sometimes we could just be stepping in the way of God, and He will make it come to about, even if it's the hard way. As parents, of course, we love our children, we want the best, but we always want them to seek, also teach them, try something. God gives us freedom to try what we think is going to work for us, and then when we see, like, we get exhausted, it doesn't work, we try something else, right? So it's always about growing. But what I want to say too is, we will not be here one day, and making wise decision making wise decisions is one of the most important things we can instill right in the name of our children, to always be honest, even if they don't make a ton of money, even for ourselves, always to be honest and to have good worth ethic no matter what you're doing, because somebody's always watching. Like, I have I haven't always been the best worker. I used to yell at them because I thought they weren't giving me stops, but in all reality, they were actually giving me more stops than most of the drivers. So I stopped that, you know, and we won't be here one day. But you know what my mom did too, which was really nice. Like, I have a godmother, but then she had talked to a few women, close in my family, and my sister's mother-in-law, they watch out. So I go to them for counsel. So it's always that too, is guiding them towards people that, God forbid, we weren't here, they will seek wise counsel, from somebody that has experience and is not just going trying to take advantage of them or guide them on just because they like them. They want to tell them exactly what they want to hear. No, I want people to be honest with me and say, really, truly, if sometimes they're not going to know, though, they're not really going to know what God is saying to me at that time. But if we go to the Bible and stuff is against the Bible as a Christian and stuff, then, you know, what we could be thinking is totally wrong. And especially like hurting people or something like that. It's just not who we are. Even if you weren't a Christian, right? We still want to love one another. But that's what I want to tell you. If you're struggling, just to like it's coming to that point. It was so painful on Monday. I sat with my son, but it was, my heart like sunk down because he had to take the train, and like a million things rush through your mind. But I said, God, I know you're gonna, my son's very smart. He's been traveling for a long time, and I've been teaching him. So I've been getting him ready for this moment, and he's always been like that. He's always wanted to be a young man, independent and stuff. So my heart sunk down, but God was, you cry anyway, still. But it's the best thing that I possibly could do, because that, like, I need help. He needs help from his father, but he also needs the journey is gonna teach him responsibility. Sons do need their daddies, particularly in their teens and early 20s. Absolutely. The father is so important. My kids listen to me, but sometimes I have to call the father because they're not listening. And as soon as my fiance, well, I'll say my husband, at the time is telling him to do something, he goes and does it right away. It's instilled in them. My daughter is different. She's my firstborn, but yeah, the boys, really, girls need to know their father too, or have like a really strong role model as a father, somebody they can look up to. I was fortunate where my dad, showed me what a respectful man would be to a woman, and never yelled at me. I mean, sometimes we got yelled at, but we knew not to cuss in front of him and stuff like that. We just didn't do that. We respected my father, and I mean, it's so important to respect our parents, right? And but our children are watching us, and all the time you've been raising up your child, even if you only had 5 years with your child, but you told them things, and you showed them and sat with them and ate with them and stuff like that. They watch that stuff. That's instilled in them. They don't forget those moments. And yes, I have failed sometimes as a parent. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I've been a perfect parent, but I've always tried my best, and God has always been faithful to send people that I needed, and at this time I'm still there for my son, like, when he needs something, but he also has a father too, and I'm not the only one. That's how God designed the family, is for two people to raise a kid, and most of the time one parent is raising the child, and it's so hard. It really is. It's so hard. So I trust me, I've been there at some moments. It's so hard. Hey, Demi, how are you? So, yeah, that's your baby boy. Yep. It's okay to be a little teary, but they need a daddy. Yep. My brothers would have benefited from their dad's guidance, but they didn't get it. Yeah. So many households, they said 75% of the families now are without the father. The father is absent from the home. And it's just like an epidemic, basically. It's really hard. So, even if you're, it's like my fiance was a stepfather to him, but and I always thank God for that at the time. It's a lot of families being broken up. Um, but that's what I want to tell you. Whatever you're going through, like maybe you're sending your kid off to college, you're just worried to death, give it to God, because this is a good moment for them, and it's a time that is going to, this is a step in their future, right? Because, like I said, you can't support them. Most people don't have two incomes, and you want them to be independent, right? We want to see them fly, and we want to see them succeed, and see what God is going to do in their life, because all of us are different. We have all different skills, and God is always faithful to bring it come about. Look how high up I can barely see here. How are you, Demi? I haven't seen you in so long. I don't have the camera on me because I don't want my truck number in the camera. It's better to look out here though. Isn't that pretty? I try to protect my identity, right, a little bit. But, I used to have, I just, like Monday, my heart sank down and I was like, oh God. I never, I've had that feeling a couple times, but it just like hit me like a ton of bricks. I didn't think I would feel like that. So now I know what it's like when you send a child off to like college or something, and a lot of times going past Rutgers, when it's move-in day, then you see the parents, or when it's move-out day, they'll come pick them up. But we have, laws and stuff to protect the children. You keep in touch with them, but also to give them a little space. But think about yourself. If you're never, like, let's say for example, you wanted to go out to eat and you've been dying to have tacos, but somebody always has to never let you have tacos, you're gonna start to be like, why can't I even try them? It's just like, let's see what God does in their life, and it's always gonna be good. It just takes time. you know how's Sushi doing, Sonia? Yeah, I'm really high up. The only way I got up this mountain was because my truck is automatic. I'm up in New Jersey. What is this town? I'm up in Martinsville, New Jersey. And I don't really take too much of a lunch. We're supposed to, you have to by law, but I just stopped. I said I wanted to share this message before it went off. So that's what it was, because we're all going through something. We all go through different moments. So whatever it is, but that's I wanted to share that because it was so hard. But I feel like a weight lifting off my shoulders because I know I can't do it by myself. I just can't. And I work a lot of hours, but he does need his father at this time. But for you, it might be something else. It might be your daughter going off to college, or your son comes to you and he wants to get married, and you're thinking that he's too young. I get it, but it's one step in life, and it's just a beautiful thing. I was so young when I had my daughter. I was 21 when I had my daughter, and I was very young. Yes, like we never know what our kids, we plan for our kids, but they have their own personalities, and you can't push them into a mold. So I'm learning that as a parent because I'm trying to put my son way older than he is, which he's not. I want to grow them. I want him to grow up, but it just takes time. Hey, how are you? Denise, right? Hi, Denise. World's greatest sacred places. It's the hardest job, but it's most rewarding. It's a blessing, but it's not easy. Amen. Oh, it's so hard. I waited for a career for a long time because when the kids are young, it is hard to work like a 60 hours. I guess if you have like, two supportive people, that's why it's so important to have a household, because when you go, you have somebody to help you out. I always had them in preschool or daycare or babysitters. And I'm very fortunate for the after school program. They had to go to that. And I just did the best that I could, and they know that. They always seen I worked hard, so it's one thing that I instilled in them. My son will say that, and I'm just thankful for that. They did have to sacrifice, but at the same time, you know how life is. It's so expensive, so I had to. I don't know what to do. But I took advantage of getting a career while I could, but not when they were like real infant babies. It was extremely hard. It's so exhausting when they're little. But and don't feel guilty too if you're going for a career, because eventually, like, this time will come and you'll be, whatever your choice is. But for you too, it's okay to have a career because the kids grow too. And spend time together too with your significant other, whether it's your boyfriend or whether it's your husband. Spend time together because these times will go fast too, right? And we want to keep a relationship. But that was my message about uh, just yeah, mine are all adults, right? It goes by, it seems like it crawls, but then it goes by and you're just like, wow. It seems like so many memories, so many ups and downs. I was very fortunate with them not getting extremely sick. They had really good immune systems, so I'm thankful for that. But when they're little, of course, they get the runny nose and coughing and fevers. Ay, ay, ay. But to say, yeah, it's rewarding to have a family, but I don't know. It was just working and working, helped my family in years past. I found myself old and single. Oh, no. Well, there's you know what it is, you sacrificed. Pastors do this too, but you sacrifice for the world. You didn't sacrifice your family, but you gave. God called you in. I think you're a nurse, Sonia. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we need nurses so bad. So I'm sure your family looks up to you. But that's not your fault that that happened. It's just, I don't know. It's just, sometimes these things happen, but God has a plan for you. Never, especially with sushi, so cute. But you will find somebody. And, if whatever you do, thank you for your service, because it's so hard. If we don't, a lot of women, let's be honest, a lot of women, and I'm not trying to be like just biased or anything, but a lot of women, we don't get a career because we're always raising the children. So for me, I needed to get a career because I'm always struggling and can barely get by, and I was just like, I need a career because I was looking down the road and I want to be able to afford rent and stuff, and it's just not getting easier. So when Amazon offered career thing, I said, God told me to take advantage of it, and I wanted to because I don't want to struggle all my life, I don't want to be extremely rich, but I don't want to be stuck in poverty, I want to be able to put food on the table and take care of the kids, Um, but so it's not too late. God can and will provide. Amen. Yeah, a lot of times women, we give up the careers, raising the children. There's nothing wrong with that. But for me, I had to get a career because me and the father had separated. And, well, I wanted to have enough money to buy the things I needed, And if the kids need something, I try to do my best. And still, like, it's still a struggle sometimes. Not like how it used to be, though, but it's just seasons in our life, So, but like it comes, the kids grow. It's like almost all my kids are grown, And I'm ending my career in a year. I'm retiring. Denise, you're making all these beautiful videos with the churches. I thought you were traveling now. Well, this will help, right? You'll get to travel and see the world. Are you guys going by RV or just, I guess, by car and then stay in the motels? It's such a beautiful thing having a journey. But I'm going to get off of here because I got like 3 more stops and then I'm supposed to get together with my family. So, and it's been like I worked the 6 days, But I'm so glad you all came in, Retired in 2021. I didn't know you were retired, Christina. Thought you were still working, but to make it to retirement, thank God. You girls seem young, but it's smart to it's smart when you can get it, the full retirement, to take it and run with it, right? Uh, have a good day, ladies. Thank you so much for stopping in, and I will be out on the scene. All right. God bless you, girl. God bless you, girls, I should say, and anybody watching. Thank you. Bye.